So what about these uppity-do critical race theory people? Did they learn about segregation or not that they're actually supporting it these days? Or actually, I guess, using communist tactics? Which brings me to our next story.
Dun, dun, dun.
Check this out. This is where it gets just real crazy, man. Daily Mail reports cops investigate Virginia teachers' Facebook group for naming parents who were against critical race theory and urging members to gather information on them. They say the anti-racist parents of Loudoun County group shared personal details of those they say had opposed moves to teach the controversial curriculum. I'm glad they're calling it controversial. It urged followers to, quote, gather information and silence critics of the theory. Others in the group encouraged people to share addresses and social media. According to Purdue University, critical race theory scholarship shows how racism continues to be persuasive and why it denies individuals their rights. Talk about double speak on that one. That's nuts. But critics say it leaves people exposed to the training, feeling that they are being blamed for problems which they did not cause, and that it itself is racially divisive. It's overtly racially discriminatory and racist. One parent on the list, Patty Mender, says, I was personally attacked. LCPS interim superintendent Scott Ziegler said, we fully support the expression of First Amendment rights and deplore any efforts to silence voices. All right, I got a question. Who is the LCPS superintendent talking about right there? He says, we fully support the First Amendment and deplore efforts to silence voices.
I'm guessing the teachers, because the liberals run all the school boards.
So, but wait. Is he defending the people who are being doxxed because it was threatening to silence them?
Doubt.
Or is he doubt, right? So he's defending the doxing.
Right.
Yeah, man.
I would put money on it.
This is a cult.
Yeah.
It's a cult, Ian.
Dude,
it's a cult.
It's because we did have the civil rights, you're right. And a lot of people weren't privy to it, unfortunately. But like United States has never been a totalitarian dictatorship. So there's this threat of us falling into it seamlessly. And man, it looks like that's what this is.
But listen, it's social enforcement. This is the big thing people got to recognize.
It happens from the bottom up.
That's where it gets really creepy. And then once people lose confidence in government, which is literally happening, I mean, look at the 6, for instance. People are losing confidence in the system. And then you get a bottom-up movement of cultists who are just, the only thing they care about is being in their cult. Look, these people were posting for years anti-Asian sentiments all over social media, all over the place. And then one day the tide shifted and the cult decided that was wrong now. And now they're trying to cancel themselves because some of them were posting anti-Asian stuff. There is no rule. There's no rule. There's no structure to this. It's literally just a cult. Man, at least with Christianity, there's a Bible and people can follow tenets and understand and read through it. And I certainly believe there are instances where people selectively, will choose to follow or not follow some things. But there's literally a Bible. You can look at it. And yes, it's been retranslated and changed. And I'm critical of that. But for now, in the United States, the King James Bible, there you go. You read it, you know what it says. Could you imagine if one day they were like, an editing board came out and they were like, on page, 232, we actually changed this one. You actually can eat shellfish now. Oh. We're good.
Basically, that's what they did, the Council of Nicaea.
Yeah. I know, for sure. That's why I'm saying.
They twisted that thing.
We can be critical of that. But at the very least, right now in the United States and for the past several generations, the Bible's been the Bible.
Yep.
For hundreds of years.
Since King James twisted his own version into reality.
Mm-hmm. But with critical race theories, it's not even written down. At the very least, they had to translate it and argue about it, right?
Yeah, I think the Black Lives Matter had like tenets on their web page that they stripped from the web page and they no longer have. Yeah. That was kind of the Bible. I mean, that's
disrupting the nuclear family.
Yeah.
Check this out from the Daily Mail. San Francisco School Board strips vice president of her leadership title and removes her from all committees over 2016 tweets calling Asians. I'm not going to repeat. I'm not going to say the word. Disparaging racial term for black people, but she still refuses to resign. So this woman, what is her name? Is her name Allison Collins? Anti-Asian tweets. Yes, Allison Collins. She posted that she wanted to give Asians a racial awakening. Total cult stuff. And then she referred to them in a very racist and disparaging way, like outright using a racial slur. Now they're calling for her to resign. This is all sorts of screwed up for several reasons. For one, this is the vice president of a school board in San Francisco, the people who are indoctrinating your kids using racial slurs and then claiming to be anti-racist. That's why I mentioned, like, who are these people's parents and grandparents?
Homeschool your kids.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that we can't beat them by insulting them and calling them horrible for being racist. I just feel like the only way is to, like, maybe it's so obnoxious to say this over and over again, but it's to create a better system, to be a pinnacle of what you believe in, which I think equality of opportunity of all of us, whatever we look like, I don't really care. And then
capitalism
and roll
again.
around in that. But this is interesting to talk about too. Like, I almost completely ignore this stuff in my daily life. I focus on community, communication, organization. And there is a value to calling out the problem.
Pros
obviously.
and cons, though. If you ignore them,
Right.
they fester.
You have to call it out.
The problem is that the left is working really hard to get to children younger and younger. I mean, they're putting stuff on Sesame Street. They're getting critical race theory into elementary schools. They're doxing parents for having wrong think. There was a school, I think in North Carolina or South Carolina, where they actually did a conference instructing parents to go up against, instructing the teachers to go up against and contradict the parents of the students.
Whoa.
I mean, there's just all this stuff going on. The left is targeting children with their agenda, and the right is largely like, we're going to lead by example, and we're going to, we want to keep kids out of politics. We're going to take the high road. We're not going to stoop to their level, but we're losing because of it. And
That's a culture revolution. Having the kids, indoctrinating them, and then telling them to reject their parents.
Yeah.
Hardcore culture revolution.
I was like disgusted. I posted about it for Gateway. I forget the name of the reporter. He's doing amazing work on critical race theory stuff right now that's happening. But he had a whole report about this conference, and you read it and it's just like, we're letting this happen. I mean, school board elections don't have party affiliation listed, which I know you support, but I don't, because we're getting all these leftists who are going into red areas, and they're deliberately going in there so that they can counter what the children are learning at home from their parents who are right wing. I hate it. It's
That's a
driving me
problem.
crazy.
But I think it's a bigger problem that people have given up on their civic responsibility.
Right.
So I think
Yeah.
you agree with me on removing party affiliation.
Big time, yeah. I was just studying ancient Greece last night. I was telling you I was watching like a virtualization of Athens, and like they were talking about the politics, and like they would take 500 people from around every, like, of all 50 from all the 10 areas of Attica, bring them to Greece, to Athens, and then they would all be part of politics. And then 50 of those 500 would get chosen to be like the head of the council. This is everybody, every citizen, I think they were only males at the time, but every citizen, male citizen. And they were all involved, and they were all super excited to like adjudicate lawsuits about like people, are they guilty or not? They were just so involved. Everyone was so involved in the politics of the day. And I think we need that.
So now what happens is you get these leftists, these Marxists, they'll run and be on the school board, and then what? People are going to be like, this person sounds nice, and just vote for them?
Well, the problem is, yes, all of this stuff would be great in a utopia, like where we don't have political parties. Ideally, I would like there to not be political parties either, but there are. And so when you have school board elections, you don't have people named. These people are running on things like, we're going to get new school buses, we're going to help build a new football team. They're not talking about whether or not they're going to be pushing critical race theory. And people who live in these red areas assume that these are people from their communities who have similar culture and values. So they're not necessarily digging as hard as they should be. And a lot of these people are learning it right now. I've seen it happening in quite a few towns out in West Virginia. But it's a problem because people don't realize. I mean, they're just like...
You know what they say when you assume?
Yes.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like, I know, yeah. They make a butt out of you and
Make
me.
an ass out of
you. I think almost that we should be voting for smart contracts and not people. Because if those people are telling you, we're going to do this, this, and this, and then they go in and they also do that and that, we didn't vote for that.
Right.
We voted for their contract.
That's true.
Oh, interesting.
That's a good point, actually. Politicians should be like, these are the only things I plan to implement, and they should have a very comprehensive package. Because that's a really, really good point. Think about Andrew Yang, for instance. One of the reasons I liked him was that his policy proposals were off, was like nuts. Like the dude sat down and just started writing a book about all the policies he wanted. He had one on like MMA unions and stuff, and I'm like, man, this guy's
what?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he was thorough.
legit
Wild.
telling you like, here's what I want to do. Now, I guess the problem is like you guys both point out, if someone comes to you and says, no, I'm not going to do all those really bad things. I'm only going to do the really good things. And then you're like, then I vote for that. Then I choose you to do those things. Then as soon as they're elected, they're like, now I'm going to do the things you hate and not the things you like. Well, we should be able to be like, nah, regis of grievances. You ran on this slate of proposals. You are not implementing them. Instead, you're bringing in, critical race theory. They should be able to be removed instantly. There needs to be a way to do like an immediate emergency recall.
Well, thanks to COVID, at least, the one good thing that's come out of this is that kids have been learning at home. So parents are seeing what they're getting taught, and a lot of them are getting a rude awakening, like real bad. Yeah. And so I think that the one good thing that might come out of this is that parents are going to be looking more into the education system in West Virginia. I'm sorry, I'm a West Virginia fangirl. Yesterday, Jim Justice, or it might have been today.
I think that was today.
Justice signed a bill where now we're going to be funding students instead of institutions. Yay. So
is it like the voucher system, or how does it?
Yeah, I'm so excited about this.
Wait, it's literally like a voucher thing where like
you can use it for homeschool, you can do private school, charter
That's
school.
That's a revolution, man.
It's so cool. I am amped about this. This is something that I've been talking about for even years, even before I was on the right. But yeah, it just got signed into law. I think it goes into effect in 90 days. 90% of West Virginia children are going to be eligible for it. It's wonderful.
Wow. That means if parents homeschool their kids, they're going to get a cash stipend for covering costs and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think they're called Hope Scholarships. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But it's something, Hope something. But they're going to do like savings accounts where you basically can access this money that is for the child's education. And you can put it towards public school or private school or whatever you want. Teachers unions obviously are outraged because who the heck wants to send their kid to public school if there's other options? It's glorious.
You know what I think?
Yay, justice.
We've become a very dull people, and I'm thinking of dull in terms of like color saturation. We are all such NPCs, and I don't mean like you or I or Lydia or Ian specifically.
No,
I mean
I'm
like,
awesome.
Yeah, you're great. You're the best.
Just kidding. No, sorry.
Obviously not us, though. I do think we're duller in a sense than the people who came before us.
Yeah.
What I mean is that people have really just given everything up. Where are the parents to be like, I want to go to my school and be involved? And now they don't know that Marxism, critical race theory, whatever you want to call it, is seeping in.
Well, before my daughter was homeschooled, because she went to public school for about a year and a half, I was very involved in the school. And I didn't know half of the stuff that they were teaching them because they don't do it in front of the parents. Like I went in, I volunteered every Friday. I went in as like a teacher's assistant and I would help with crafts and cleaning and stuff like that. I went on all the field trips. I was involved in like parents groups. And you don't know any of this stuff. I mean, when I was there, we actually had a huge scandal and the freaking school administration was threatening to call the cops on all of us because a 14-year-old student got raped in the bathroom by two adult illegal immigrants that were...
Wait, what? That happened?
Yeah, in Rockville, the Rockville rape.
Wow.
Now they say it wasn't rape and that it was consensual, but the fact of the matter is it was a 19-year-old who was in high school with our kids having sex with a 14-year-old and another guy. They took photos of it. The whole thing was horrible. And so me and a whole bunch of other parents were upset about it. And we started writing being like, hey, how many adults are going to school with our children? And there was nothing about race at all. I mean, I was still a leftist back then.
Who are these guys? Like, why were they there?
They were adult illegal immigrants. And,
wow.
And they're placing them into the high schools because they're at such a lower learning curve that they're getting placed, some of them in middle schools. And so we all wanted to know how many adults were going. There was nothing about race. There was nothing about immigration. We just wanted to know how many adults were in the schools. They sent a school district-wide email saying that racism will not be tolerated, that they'll call the police. It was wild. I mean, I pulled my daughter out of school like 2 weeks later, but... I'm
so sick of the cult, man.
Yeah.
It's so amazing. And the only reason it works is because people have become dull. When someone comes out and you're like, I don't like the fact that a child was, attacked, and they go, you're racist. Shut your mouth.
Yeah, they
me swearing almost.
I mean, they red pilled a lot of moms that day.
Yep.
I was involved with all these parent groups. Everybody was super liberal, but as soon as that email came out, we all started messaging each other being like, what the hell is this? Like, it was crazy.
Safety.
Yeah.
The school's just thinking about what's the easiest way out, and so they're just throwing spaghetti at the wall, seeing what sticks.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just call them racist.
They blocked me on Twitter because I started tweeting about
Oh, I
it too.
remember
Wow.
The
that.
school district blocked me,
Nice.
and I wouldn't.
But that's in
stop,
West
but-
Virginia.
No, that was back when I lived in just outside DC.
Right.
It was Rockville, the Rockville.
Right,
rape.
right, right, right,
There was
right.
a ton of coverage of it. I mean, I was sending all the emails to every news
Now
station.
in West
and
Virginia, the
everything,
kid
but
comes to school and they hand him a gun. There's your gun. Welcome to school.
Yes.
You're
They
13.
used to do
you're
that
you're an
back in the
adult
day,
now.
didn't they?
They did, yeah.
Well, they had gun clubs
Yeah.
Classes,
at the schools. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.